everyone, this is Lanoni Binde. This is my documentary critical review of An Inconvenient Truth and the Global Warming Swindle. So I'm going to begin by providing you with the agenda for this presentation, which is basically I'm going to give you the introduction of the film, An Inconvenient Truth and the Global Warming Swindle. I am also going to present the different scientific claims within each documentary, as well as the non-scientific claims in the documentary, and followed by the critical comparison of the two documentaries. So, I'm going to start off with An Inconvenient Truth. This was written and narrated actually by Al Gore. The director is Davis Guggenheim. The producer is Laurie David, as well as Lauren Bender and Scott Byrne. It looks like it was a joint effort. It was produced in 2006. The budget was $1.5 million. That's American dollars. The main theme of the film was to bring, I think, attention to global warming. Up until this point, I don't think global warming was in the forefront of most of American citizens' mind. And the targeted audience, as I alluded to with my previous statement, are basically Americans. Really, this documentary was essentially just to bring attention to global warming to the American citizen. And then the other film, excuse me, is The Global Warming Swindle. The writer and narrator is Martin Durkin, and he featured several scientists, economists, as well as politicians, writers, and previous, as I mentioned, scientists, and also other people who dispute the scientific census regarding anthropogenic global warming. The targeted audience are Europeans. This was a British documentary. It was produced in 2017, and I did a little bit of research on the budget. However, I couldn't find anything about it, and I can absolutely understand why based on the quality of the film. All right, so let's jump right into the scientific claim in An Inconvenient Truth. One of the claim in An Inconvenient Truth is that glaciers are receding, and that they will continue to recede if nothing is done to abate the global warming effect on the atmosphere. This is accurate according to multiple findings. For published scientific support, I have chosen an article published in the Journal of Glaciology titled Historically Unprecedented Global Glacier Decline in the 21st Century. This was essentially a product of collaboration between World Glacier Monitoring Services, WGMS, University of Zurich, Department of Geography, and National Correspondence for Data Compilation. In this study, the team reviewed 36 countries, data sets from 36 countries, and those data sets were collected from 1894, which is the year that the International Coordinated Glacier Monitoring began, all the way through 2010. So this article was actually published in 2015. Um, so, anyways, so the one of the finding is that not only is glacier trend receding, it's receding at a very alarming rate. And this figure is another figure from the same publication, and it shows the global average of observed glacier mass balance from 1910 all the way to 2010. It also shows the annual average of geodetic and glaciological balance of observed glaciers with cumulative annual average relative to 1960. For the glaciological balance, the global mean average of the early 21st century, which is from 2001 all the way to 2010, is showing the most negative of all of the decade, with negative 0.54 meter water equivalents per area annual decrease. The total decrease, rather. The figure shows a strong annual variation with a negative average around 0.40 meter water equivalent per area in the 1940s all the way through 1960s. And so if you look right here from 1940 to 1960, there was approximately 0.4 negative 0.4 meter water equivalent per area, a decrease all the way to that level, as well as recede glacier mass in the 1970s. The article made ultimately a conclusion that the increased mass loss over the past few decades is driven mainly by summer balances, which are dominated in most regions that was observed. The observed rates from the glaciological mass balance is significantly more in the past century, and this particular strong imbalance implies that glaciers in many regions will likely continue to suffer from ice loss, and essentially even if the climates remain stable, it will still continue to recede. That's how much damage has already been caused to the glaciers. Now um, the second claim, scientific claim, in an inconvenient truth, is that the melting of that there's been a significant melting of the permafrost in the Arctic. And this is a chart that I found in an article published in Nature Communication titled "Permafrost is Warming at a Global Scale." It illustrates that during the reference decade, which is from essentially from 2007 ish all the way to 2016, one, ground temperature near the depth of zero annual amplitude in the continuous permafrost zone increased by between 0.39 and 0.15 degrees Celsius. And then the 2 points within this article, the second point within the article is that over the same period, a discontinuous permafrost warmed by was also observed in this particular period, um, and the warmth of discovered was between 0.20 and negative 0.10 degrees Celsius. Permafrost in the mountain also warmed by 0.19 degrees Celsius, and in the Antarctica, it warmed by 0.37 to 0.10 degrees Celsius. So the globally, permafrost temperature continues to increase. Some of the impact of melting permafrost is that the Arctic are losing, um, increasing losing, continue to release greenhouse gas storage because they're melting, and then also one of the effect of defrosting of a permafrost is crumbling infrastructure as well as altered landscape, which was illustrated in the documentary. I think Al Gore alluded to showed actually a picture of the drunken tree observed in the Arctic. And also he showed some of the socioeconomic issues that the Arctic continues to face due to the defrosting of, or rather melting of, the permafrost in the Arctic. Now, as far as the scientific claim within the global warming swindle, I'm going to check on my time. Okay. So, one of the scientific claim is that global warming is actually what is causing, I'm sorry, the sun is what's causing global warming. And that CO2, or rather carbon dioxide, is unimportant. Maybe not unimportant, but it's not a factor attributed to or contributing to GHG emissions. Um, and quite frankly, this has been proven over and over again that carbon dioxide, one, which is a minor but very important component of the atmosphere, is released through natural process such as volcano eruption, and also through human activities such as deforestation and the burning of fossil fuel. And human have increased atmospheric carbon dioxide concentration by more than a third since the industrial revolution began. And this graph that I have on the screen was extracted from the IPCC Working Group 3 summary for policymaker, and it shows all of the different gases: the nitrous oxide, the CF, the the chlorofluorocarbons, the CFCs, and as well as the methanes that contributes to the greenhouse gas, the anthropogenic greenhouse gas emissions. Um, and also, one thing that I would like to touch on is the water vapor. During the documentary, water vapor was brought up a lot, and essentially, water vapor is the most abundant greenhouse gas, but also probably one of the but important. It acts as a feedback to the climate. So, the increase in water vapor as the Earth atmosphere warms, um, causes or